The movie opens within chaos. A blood-soaked man named Sam stumbles through the forest, panic written all over his face. He's running for his life, someone's hunting him. He manages to reach a cabin, locks the door behind him, and frantically calls his friend Chuck, a laid-back comic book store clerk. Chuck jokes about Sam's summer camp job, but the mood shifts instantly when he tells her that a deranged killer has already slaughtered several of his friends. He needs help. But calling the police isn't an option. The only sheriff is 76 years old and didn't pick up, and the nearest town is 25 miles away. Chuck presses him. How many people are dead? Sam isn't sure. Flashback. We're taken back to the beginning of the trip. Sam, along with 12 others, had arrived to serve as camp counselors. Among them were Carol, Ted, Steve, Drew, Alice, Heather, and Sam's ex, Imani. Also in the group, Freddie, Nancy, Brad, and Jamie. Sam, the team leader, had confiscated all their phones to help them disconnect and focus on the kids. Back in the present, Sam explains that most of the group has already been butchered, stabbed, mutilated, torn apart. Suddenly, he begins to feel dizzy. Voices whisper in his head. Then, he smells gasoline. The killer is trying to burn the cabin down. Flames erupt and in desperation, Sam crashes through a wall to escape, only to come face to face with the killer. He manages to flee to another cabin and locks himself inside. Chuck calls again. They try to piece together who the killer might be. Chuck remembers the name Steve, but Sam says that's impossible. We flash back to the group discovering Steve's body, mutilated and hanging from a tree. The horror escalates. Imani finds Bob and Carol's corpses in the kitchen, and Ted, Drew, and Alice are missing. Panicked, they rush to retrieve their phones, but the locker is empty. The killer already took them. Their car? Sabotaged. With no way out, they split into two groups, one for defense, the other to lay traps. Sam heads off alone to patrol. He finds Freddie and Nancy mid-argument. He tries to calm them, but the dizziness returns. Voices grow louder. When Freddie turns to leave, the killer slashes Nancy's throat. Freddie is next. The killer lunges at Sam. Yet, in the present, he's still alive. Chuck is stunned. Why would the killer spare you? She asks, are you covered in blood? Yes. Do you have a weapon? Sam says yes, a bat. But when he checks, it's a machete. The killer's weapon. Chuck starts putting the pieces together. What if you're the killer? Sam denies it, until he finds the killer's mask in his bag. The moment he touches it, demonic whispers flood his head. A memory surfaces. Sam murdered Steve. He remembers the whole thing now, chasing him, stabbing him, stringing him up like a trophy. Reality shatters. The mask slips from his hand, and for a moment, he's back to being Sam again. But the guilt sinks in. He admits the truth to Chuck. He's the killer, or rather, the mask made him one. Chuck, still in disbelief, pulls out an ancient book. Apparently, this isn't the first time a cursed object like this took control of someone. She tells Sam there may be a way to stop it, and suggests talking to Imani. But Sam has another flashback. She's already dead. Heartbroken, he remembers their summer romance. She meant everything to him. Determined to break the curse, Sam tries to burn the mask, but his own face begins to burn too. The pain is unbearable. Chuck warns him, the mask has bonded with his soul. It won't let go that easily. Suddenly, Sam hears something outside. It's Heather and Brad. They know the truth. In fact, they were the ones who tried to burn the cabin down, with him in it. Sam runs. He hides in another cabin, and Chuck asks a chilling question. What's the last thing you remember before all of this began? Trying to piece everything together, Sam begins to remember. We flash back to a time when there had only been one death. Sam heads to the pool area, where Ted and Alice are casually splashing around. But something sinister awakens inside him. Without warning, he brings a machete down on Ted, splitting his head in two. Alice screams, but it's too late. Sam grabs her, drags her into the water, and drowns her in a terrifying show of brute strength. Still under the influence of the voices in his head, Sam makes his way to the kitchen. There, Bob and Carol are rummaging through supplies. Carol spots Sam and tries to escape. But he catches up easily. Despite her desperate struggle, Sam pins her against the fridge and repeatedly smashes her head into the metal until she collapses, lifeless. Suddenly, Sam seems to snap out of it. For a brief moment, he's himself again, begging the mask not to force him into any more killings. But then he sees Steve, and the voices return, stronger than ever. Once again overtaken, Sam murders him too. Back in the present, Sam tells all of this to Chuck, voice cracking with guilt. He mutters that he should just end it all, but Chuck stops him. She insists it's not his fault and gently asks how he even found the mask in the first place. Sam takes us into another flashback, before the horror began. The counselors were gathered around the campfire, sharing ghost stories. Sam told them a particularly dark legend tied to the land they were camping on. Long ago, before the French Cajuns arrived, native tribes lived peacefully on this land. But when settlers came, they brought something else, black magic. Something ancient and malevolent was unleashed, driving people to madness and bloodshed. A powerful sorcerer eventually managed to trap the evil spirit inside a massive oak tree. For a century, the land was calm, until a woodcarver unknowingly chopped the cursed tree down and carved a mask from its bark. That man would go on to massacre his entire village, including his own family. The horror only ended when a lone survivor, a young woman, killed him with an axe. The mask was buried with his body, deep in the forest. The group laughed it off. Someone suggested a treasure hunt to find the mask. Sam tried to stop them, but no one listened. Later that night, Drew approached Sam and told him she'd meet him at the woodcarver's grave. She knew he'd been there before. After all, Sam's family had owned the land for generations. When Sam arrived, Drew was already there digging. She revealed that she'd been coming to this place for years. Eventually, her shovel hit something, the mask. Sam was paralyzed with fear. Drew stared at it with fascination, and before he could react, she shoved it onto Sam's face. Instantly, the voices returned. Sam picked up a nearby machete, stepped toward Drew, and she became his first victim. Back in the present, Sam and Chuck try to tally the death count. Including Drew, Ted, Alice, Carol, Bob, Steve, Freddie, Nancy, and Imani. 9 people are dead at Sam's hands. Chuck tells him the only way this ends is with his death. That's how the curse works. On the bright side, she jokes, maybe a lightning strike will bring him back in a few years. Then she asks the question Sam's been dreading: how did Imani die? Flashback again. After Steve's body was found, the group decided to fight back. They dug spike traps and laid out lures to bait the killer. Sam, meanwhile, was already slipping, the mask's whispers growing louder. He put it on again. Soon he saw Nancy and Freddie arguing in the woods, and we know what happens next. He killed them both, swiftly and violently. Then came Imani. She spotted Sam, and rather than run, she stood her ground, hoping to lure him toward the spike pit. Her plan was to sacrifice herself to stop the evil. She sprinted off, forcing Sam to chase her. But before she could reach the trap, he caught up, and ended her life, just like the others. In a chilling moment of hesitation, Sam pauses, his hand trembling. Imani, once the love of his life, stares at him with terrified eyes. For a split second, something human flickers in Sam's gaze. But the darkness inside him wins. He throws her into the spike pit, where she dies instantly. Heather, witnessing the murder, screams and charges at him with a weapon. But Sam swiftly decapitates her. The rest of the group scatters in terror. Sometime later, Sam wakes up, confused and alone. He finds Imani's lifeless body and is overcome with horror. He has no memory of what happened and assumes there's a killer on the loose. In his panic, he runs to a nearby cabin and calls Chuck, bringing us back to the film's opening. Back in the present, Chuck asks about Jamie, and Sam describes her as the purest soul in the group. Sweet, innocent, untouched by darkness. That sparks a theory in Chuck's mind: in horror stories, it's always the innocent girl who survives and defeats the monster. Still, Chuck isn't ruling out Brad, the group's muscle, as the possible final survivor. Feeling hopeless, Sam pulls out the mask and tries to destroy it. He stomps it into the ground, screaming in frustration. But it's indestructible. His screams echo through the woods, drawing Brad, who approaches quietly, holding a bat. But the mask is calling again. The voices whisper. Sam fights it. But ultimately, he puts it back on. At that very moment, Jamie sees him. She freezes, then runs for her life. Sam ends the call with Chuck, cutting her off. Meanwhile, Jamie, desperate for a hiding place, is grabbed from behind, but it's Imani, alive and breathing. She had played dead earlier to survive. The two girls rush to the storeroom, arming themselves with whatever they can find. Suddenly, evil Sam shows up. A fierce struggle breaks out. Imani manages to land a solid kick, and the girls lock themselves inside. Sam tries to break in through the bars and reaches for the keys on the floor. He finally unlocks the door, only to be smashed in the face with a shovel by Imani. The girls escape and lock him inside. Inside the storeroom, Sam rips off the mask and collapses, once again in his normal state. Desperate, he tries to convince them he was never in control, that the mask made him do everything. But they don't believe him. Sam calls Chuck again, begging for help. Chuck explains the curse to the girls and tells them about the legend: only the purest soul can defeat the evil. That soul, she says, is Jamie. But this revelation doesn't sit well with Imani. Offended and heartbroken, she asks why she couldn't be the pure soul. Her pain quickly turns into desperation. As they flee into the woods, Sam not far behind, Imani confronts Jamie, demanding to be the one who survives. Chuck tries to warn them, you can't outrun fate. But Imani has made up her mind. She attacks Jamie. The fight is messy, raw, and emotional. But Jamie reacts first, striking Imani with the shovel again and again, until she's dead. Trembling and covered in blood, Jamie grabs the phone and tells Chuck, I had no choice. She was going to kill me. Suddenly, Sam appears in the distance. Seeing him approach, Jamie grips the shovel, ready to strike, ready to end it. But before she can, Chuck's voice crackles through the phone, insisting that this final confrontation must take place at the woodcarver's grave, the source of the curse, the heart of the darkness. Reluctantly, Jamie backs off and runs toward the grave, unknowingly dropping the phone behind her. Meanwhile, Sam stumbles across Imani's body, and something shifts. The mask's influence begins to fade. In overwhelming grief, he rips the mask off, screaming in agony. Sobbing, he cradles the woman he once loved, and for the first time in a long time, he's fully himself. That's when he notices his phone lying nearby. Chuck is still on the call. He picks it up and tells her something she never expected. He knows how to destroy the evil. And more importantly, he doesn't want to fight Jamie. He ends the call and sets off toward the woodcarver's grave, now with a clear purpose. Moments later, Sam and Jamie face each other again. But this time, there's no rage. No madness. No mask. Sam calmly explains that the mask is in his bag, and he's going to destroy it once and for all. No one else has to die. He pleads with Jamie to trust him, and after a long pause, she agrees. They arrive at the grave. Sam, still afraid of relapsing, hands the bag to Jamie. He doesn't even want to look at the mask. Jamie begins digging the hole, while Sam turns his back. He tells her to bury it, don't touch it, don't even look at it. But curiosity gets the better of her. She glances at the mask. And the whispers begin. Dark, seductive voices flood her mind, just as they once did to Sam. In a trance-like state, she raises the mask, and slowly places it on her face. A terrible silence follows. Sam, still facing away, asks if she's done. No answer. Cut to the aftermath. Jamie now stands over Sam's lifeless body. She picks up his phone. Chuck is calling. Jamie answers, calm and cold. Sam's dead. I did what had to be done. Chuck is shaken. But deep down, she always feared it would end this way. In the final shot, Jamie walks into the woods with the mask in her possession. Cut to 2 years later. Chuck is alone when her phone rings. She answers, then freezes. On the other end, a familiar voice. Chuck, it's me. It's Sam. I don't know what's happening. He's back. Just like Chuck once theorized, lightning must have struck the grave. And just when we thought the nightmare was over, Sam came back. If you made it this far, you're just as brave as Jamie. For more twisted tales, shocking returns, and cursed endings, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss what's rising next. Because in horror, nothing stays buried forever.